Nigerian stock market, I'm on fire right now. Just the main equity index broke more than 1,500 points over the past 1 week, raking up some 2 trillion naira in value. Let me just go straight to Justin Chukwu, the group CEO at Carry Asset Management, and is live now into the studios to read the market tea leaves for me. A good evening to you. Should I play that song for you again? There is no stopping us. You're in the morning, I know. So you're all smiles. Now, I want you to summarize the August market for me, but today seems to have taken me off the edge. What's the key drivers of this rally, my friend?
Well, I think those, both of you have some bragging right today to sing "No Stopping Us." But
Okay. I give it to you. Go ahead.
Okay, but we have to dimension what's happening in the market. The market has actually done well. If you look at Asia index, market capitalization today has gained about 33%. That's 1/3 of 100% gain in the first 8 months of this year added to today's trading activities. But if you look at what happened in August, the market gained 3.44% in August. 3% of that was gained the last week of August. Last week, the week ended last on 31st. So that means that the market's actually, I remember the last time we spoke, you asked me if the market now has been coupled to the Nigerian economic activity. I said no. The market is still directly related to what happens in the market. A couple of factors come into play. You look at the macroeconomic environment, you look at the performance of the quoted companies. The current rally we saw last week, and which all dovetailed to the market gaining 3.44% in August, was driven largely by market performances of operating companies. If you look at the result that was published by GT Bank or GTCO, and then the result that was published by Fidelity Bank, Fidelity had an increase in their net profit after tax of more than 100%. Fidelity, for the first time, declared dividend of interim dividend of 25 kobo, the first time in their history of declaring interim dividend. So you saw the market rally in the banks, in the banking equity stocks, the consumer goods stock, and a lot of other stock that took the benefit of the high tide to also gain. And that's why we saw a gain of 3% out of the 3.44% that were occurred in August, happening in just a single week, responding to the publications of very good results by these two banks. And that also implies for market analysts and investors that it is likely the other banks that will come to the market will also show very good results.
Okay, so you've got a couple of corporate headlines, such as the merger announcement between Dangote Sugar, NASCON, and Dangote Rice as well. I'm sure that's also in the news. But again, what's your outlook on the new month of September? What key macroeconomic and monetary policies are you looking to see? And do you think there's anything from the macros that investors are beginning to look at from the Tinubu's administration's cabinet and the sight and sound of what we're hearing, whatever we're seeing from the administration right now?
You know, the major factor that will drive the market will still remain what happened in the foreign exchange market. I mean, if you look at the past few days, we've seen some level of stability. We've seen Naira trading between 915 and 925 Naira to $1. So we've seen some level of stability in the exchange rate in the past few days. And for market operators, they need some level of certainty. They need to understand the risk they are taking. So you have to deal with exchange rate risk. And once you achieve some level of stability in the exchange rate, then we should see market will take a cue. The other factor that will drive the market in the coming weeks, on the month of September, are the publications of half-year results of most quoted companies, which expect the likes of Zenith Bank to come to the market and publish their half-year, and a couple of other banks will come to the market to publish their half-year, IBTs and all the rest. So we expect this will also drive market because investors are looking for returns, and now because banks are also going to declare half-year dividend, investors will also go scramble for those returns, benefit payment from these quoted companies. At the macroeconomic level, they're looking at inflation rate. Of course, we already are living with high inflation rate. We are living with inflation rate above 24%, and it is not likely going to moderate. We are going to look for whether there be a creation in our reserve, coming from improvement in crude prices and improvement in crude production. These are factors that investors will be looking at that will drive market sentiment. And I think the most critical factor will be the performance of the published result of quoted companies that will come to the market in the next few days, and the performance of the FX, Naira in the FX market, whether we are going to see this stability sustaining for the remaining part of the month.
Well, aren't there conversations from investors, deep pocket investors, to you and institutional investors about how they should weigh news such as President Tinubu's G20 Nigeria-India Business Summit trip with a team of 33 business leaders across various sectors, who is who in the business circuit, you know them all. So is that something in play for investor sentiment? Do you think so? What are you hearing?
I don't think it will be a major factor. Basic thing is that I have been in this business for quite some time, and I can remember the time when President Buhari was touring the world with a retinue of investors, and President Jonathan also did the same thing. The key thing investors look at is that what's your macroeconomic realities? Do you have stability in your exchange rate? Is there liquidity in your foreign exchange market? What are the policies that the government have in place? Are there specific policies tailored to specific sectors of the economy that will drive investors into that economy? Are they critical transformations that are going to take place that the government has actually mapped out a roadmap on how to deal with? It's not just enough to go on this global engagement with a body or a large retinue of local investors. The key thing they will be looking at is there any opportunity for me to go into partnership with local investors coming from your country? Which is why when President traveled, they travel with a retinue of business leaders that have propositions or business value propositions to counterparties from other countries of the world. So they'll be looking at what are the areas that can come into your country and look for these gentlemen and ladies you come here with that I can work with them and partner with them. And are there opportunities for joint venture engagement? Are there opportunities for co-investment in specific sectors of the economy? And what are those sectors? What are the return opportunities in those sectors? What are the risk environment that I'm going to operate in? These are factors that will drive productive engagement with foreign investors when such trips are made.
Interesting. If we're back with corporate news, for example, what else are you focusing on for the rest of the third quarter and the rest of 2023? I mentioned earlier the Dangote Sugar, NASCON, Dangote Rice merger. There's today the announcement that Oando will be buying the Nigerian assets of Italian energy giant ENI, even though Oando is planning to delist from the exchange. What are your takes on this big corporate news as we enter into towards the final part of third quarter and into the final quarter of the year?
Well, I think what we are seeing with the case of Oando and Eni, which is a Nigerian Oil company, we should expect more of that. You remember the acquisition of Mobile Nigerian Limited, or Mobile Nigerian Unlimited, that is the producing arm of Mobile, by Seplat is still is still hanging in there. We should expect, and we know that I think that was Shell that wanted to sell its assets. We should expect that many of these international companies that want to divest their onshore assets, because I have to emphasize that for onshore assets, because they now want to prefer to produce in the deep offshore because of insecurity in the onshore environment, that we should see more of that. So Nigerian entities, Nigerian corporate entities should prepare to acquire those assets so that we can put them back into use and improve our crude production. So that's one thing we should expect. As it relates to the consolidation in Dangote Industries, you remember that BUA has also followed the same traction, the same direction. And this is basically to bring together businesses that have some similarities in the nature of their service offering or product offering, and optimize in terms of cost management as well as possibly grow the revenue. So you are going to have a more consolidated management, a slimmer operating structure, and then that will help them improve their bottom line. So that, for me, is good news. And we should, because they remain listed. The only challenge is that the case of Oando is going to become unlisted, so Nigerians in general may not get the value in terms of price movement in their shares. But overall, if it leads to an improvement in crude production from these fields that they are going to acquire from Nigerian Oil Company, then overall, at the macro level, we should see an improvement in crude production for the country.
All right, thank you for your insights as always. I'll try and keep my bragging right for this week. I hope to do so from today till Friday. But I'm ready to use some grounds to you. But for now, stop me if you can. Well, let's move on. Johnson Chukwu, market professional, CEO at Carrier Asset Management. Thank you. Have a great evening.